Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing my monthly review for this month's issue of the Walking Dead comic book series. This is for issue 162. It is the last chapter in the Whisper War. And spoiler warning, if you guys have not read this volume yet, this was a pretty great one. So the final concluding chapter for the Whisper War, issue 162. So I enjoyed this volume so much, this story arc so much in The Walking Dead. I almost can't believe it's over already. January 4, 2017, today was the release. 6 of 6, that's it. I'm just double checking because it's kind of like I'm in shock that it's over because this one was built up quite a bit, and I have to say it's one of the most exciting parts of The Walking Dead, and that's out of 162 issues. The last 6 really have been special, I think. It's been one of the best story arcs, one of the best single volumes, I think, that The Walking Dead has ever had, right up there with Made to Suffer and All Out War and All Out War Part 2. But as I suspected, even from when it started, when we first heard that it was going to be one volume, one trade for the Whisper War, I did think personally that the war was not going to end in one trade. I did say that a few times. If you guys have been watching the videos, you know that's true. And it looks like I was kind of right. The Whisper War, even though it is a war, it kind of feels more like a couple battles, than really like a war. And we don't have a definitive, so this is going to contain major spoilers. If you haven't read the issue yet, I'm going to kind of spoil some things. But don't worry, there's no like major deaths in this issue or anything like that. So this is kind of like a story, a plot spoilers. It's not necessarily, spoilers for a main character death, as we've had some in the Whisper War already at the beginning. I feel like the Whisper War started out crazy strong, and then in the end here it kind of, I don't want to say it fizzled out, but the climax of it was at a weird spot. Rather than the climax being at the very end, it was sort of in the middle-esque. So anyway, maybe I'll do kind of a review of the Whisper War volume and go through all 6 this week or something, because it's such an important part of The Walking Dead that it makes sense for me to do that for the volume. So for an ending, this one did surprise me quite a bit, because the war, even though the arc is over, the war doesn't, well, maybe I shouldn't say the arc is over, the volume has ended, 6 of 6. It hasn't totally finished. Okay, so we see all the battles back and forth between the groups. We had the Hilltop battle that happened there with the fire. We had, the open field fight, which was probably the most exciting part of all the Whisper War. I want to say is kind of like that open field part near the beginning there, where you have Beta, you have Negan, you have Dwight, and some really good stuff in the middle of the Whisper War. So this one ends issue 162, 6 of 6, and basically we get to see the amazing, and I do want to say amazing because Charlie Adler did an incredible job of this. A few pages, actually, some splash pages of a sea of walkers heading towards Alexandria, which kind of in some ways for me as a reader, it sort of parallels No Way Out, kind of, or at least it feels like it, but it kind of feels like in the future. And it looks like, Beta and the others, as far as what is said at the end of the issue, is that they're basically going to let the army of zombies just flood through, and the zombie herd just flood through, and thousands of them, and they're going to pretty much sit back and just let it happen. So this is a few things for the story. It allows for Beta and the others to survive, rather than going kind of all in 100%. But it also puts it in a situation where, even though the volume is over, the Whispers are not done. The Whispers are not done 100%. So we'll have to see what Kirkman has in store for them in the future and what he's going to do. See, I thought this was going to be the definitive Whisper War. At the end, Beta would be dead or Rick would be dead. One of the two, like one side would conclusively win. But for a single volume, as we suspected, that's kind of impossible to cram it in that much, or just not. He didn't do that, which makes sense. You wouldn't cram, all of that into one volume, even though they crammed it quite a bit full of a lot of battles and crazy stuff, already. So we see, and that's the most impressive part of this issue, is the horde of zombies heading towards Alexandria. So that's very exciting, and I also really like when Negan arrives back and no one welcomes him back. But Negan's parts are good in this too. But when you have Dwight and Daryl, Dwight, Daryl, I don't know. Dwight, okay, comic book series version of Dwight. Kind of reminds me more of Daryl from the TV series than Dwight at this point. So we're going to see in the TV series if I'm right, and eventually Daryl becomes the comic book series version of Dwight in the TV series. So we have Daryl or Dwight who's talking with Rick, and pretty much he believes that the war is over. Dwight thinks that they have won. But for Rick realizes right away, hundreds, maybe 1,000. No, they have thousands. So Rick realizes that no, it's not over. And even though Dwight thought it was over, it's not. And so he heads back to tell everybody, let's not celebrate. We want to celebrate too early. Shit's about to hit the fan. And he's absolutely right as we see the huge herd flood through. Then you have Andrea there who's got the... she's got the warning shot thing. So two for herd and 3 for saviors. At this point, I'm not sure which is more dangerous, actually. Are the saviors more dangerous than the herd? That's tough to say, but the herd is so big, you'd almost think that there's no way they can be, because there's just so much. So, of course, as always, really excited to see the next issue, because you just see this huge army of zombies flooding through. But the only thing that I'm kind of a little bit disappointed about is because we've kind of seen that already, in The Walking Dead. And that's one thing about a really long-running type of series, is you don't want it to become repetitive. You don't want to see the same kind of stuff over and over again. And this one, for me, did feel a little bit like No Way Out. But that said, I mean, it's wicked cool nonetheless. And this is the first time in the comic book series that we've seen someone steering, a huge army of zombies. I don't think we've seen that. The TV series has kind of gotten into it a little bit with the wolves and that, but it wasn't really intentional. In the TV series, we had Merle, who kind of brings in a small group of zombies. This is kind of the first time we've seen. So I guess it is original. It's just that it feels kind of similar to some of the stuff we've seen before, because it's in Alexandria. You've got the zombie sea of zombies just heading towards it, and it should be really exciting to see nonetheless. So I'm kind of on the fence here. I wouldn't say I'm totally disappointed with the finale for Whisper War, with the ending, with the final issue. But I'm kind of like, if you're talking about a scale here, I'm kind of in between, a little bit disappointed, and, well, it wasn't bad, but it feels a little bit too familiar, I want to say. It doesn't feel enough different at the end of this for me to be like, oh my god, that was as incredible as The Walking Dead usually is. So, I still enjoyed it. I don't want to say like I'm totally just disappointed with it. It sucked, blah, blah, whatever. No, it didn't. It didn't. I'm not at that level. But I'm saying that it's a little bit too familiar for my liking, because we've seen stuff like that before. Now, at this point, 162 issues in, you could argue we've probably seen everything before. And that, is what it is. But nonetheless, I did still really enjoy the issue, and I am excited to see how they're going to deal with the zombie herd, because in terms of being unfamiliar, you have a different group. You have Alexandria, which has been set up with defenses. Eugene has arrived with the ammunition, so it sets us up for another story arc, which could be pretty amazing, and we'll have to see if the group is going to be able to fight off the zombies, or if they're going to join them and take on the Whisperer strategy and start wearing the skins and that. So it could be different enough. We'll have to see, but I could see a lot of people being a little bit upset by this one, because they probably thought that we would have a definitive winner at the end of the Whisper War. Instead, what we're seeing is a zombie herd going to Alexandria without the key Whisperer beta there and some of the others there, which is what, for me, leaves me at a little bit like, oh, okay, that's it for this one? That's how I'm feeling. So you guys can write your comments below. Let me know what you think about kind of the direction here, and if you were in the same boat as me, where you're not like, it sucked, I'm totally disappointed, but you're kind of in between, your expectations were a little bit different, and now you're a little bit disappointed. So write your comments below. I'm in that kind of a stage there. That said, it does have some really great stuff in it. We've got Negan burying Lucille, which is hilariously funny. I'm sorry I named you after a baseball bat. So that actually did that right there did make me sad because, of course, knowing Negan's backstory from Here's Negan, I've done the video Negan, explained, and we've gone through that Negan's backstory explained, and I love that because that kind of relates back into his backstory, and he's feeling guilty now that he named his spoiler warning for Here's Negan, his dead wife, named a baseball bat after his dead wife, and him burying her is kind of like symbolically burying his wife because he never got the chance to. So that I thought was actually maybe that might be one of the best parts of the issue right there. Negan, we got to go, so Dwight calls him up. We've got William in the Hilltop, who he arrives at the Hilltop with the kingdom, and it's destroyed. So he's shocked, and then they see Maggie. So it's like even though the survivors did mostly win the war so far, they did lose the Hilltop. So Maggie's talking about rebuilding it. It'll be all right. They're going to try to get the horses, and then they're going to head to Alexandria, which makes sense for the cover that we're seeing. That by the time they get there, there's probably going to be the zombies are going to be there, and they're going to be fighting it off. Maybe I'll do some predictions for that, but just to give you quick ideas, I'm thinking probably Rick and the others are going to have to steal from the Whispers and be like, you know what, let's take that strategy, maybe not the gut strategy anymore, but everybody put on the skins, join the Whispers, so to speak, like put on all the skins, and we'll kill off the zombies that way and kind of get out if we have to and kill them back as we do. But there's probably going to be a lot of deaths from all the zombies coming through and just having to clean them out. We've got Lydia and Carl. So, Lydia, are you okay? And you've got a good banter back and forth between them where she explains that she was a part of this from the Whisperer's perspective, and she feels terrible now, very guilty, because this is what it feels like empathetically on the other side. So to understand someone's position, you have to be in their shoes, and now she is in their shoes, and she feels guilty because of all the stuff that she did before with the Whisperers. So that was pretty good. You have Carl, who also explains that, and I really like this line here, is maybe one of the best of the issue as well, too, and one of the best Kirkman has come up with for a while, where we have to fight to be good. So they have to earn the right to be good, and that's very intelligent. Morals and ethics are a privilege of a rich society, right? So if you are living in absolute poverty, you don't really have the luxury to be a good person. You don't have the luxury to have a clear conscience, to be empathetic towards others. You have to do what you have to do, dog eat dog, to survive. So kind of a comment on scarcity, and the great side of abundance is that you get to be nice to others and you get to be a really good person. If you're in a state of strict scarcity where you're homeless or whatever, you may have to steal to eat, you may be starving, this kind of thing. You don't really have the luxury to be good. Or if you're fighting against other groups and you have to kill other groups to survive yourself, dog eat dog. It's kind of a comment on scarcity, really, which I thought was really smart, really good. And Carl, of course, is very intelligent for his age, for sure. So we got Beta, who's hurt. The Andrea conversation about 2 shots or 3 for saviors. Rick is 38, so that's pretty cool because we didn't really know, as far as I can think of, at least I didn't know off the top of my head how old Rick is. So at this point, Rick is only 38, which is crazy because he looks much older than that because of the zombie apocalypse. I guess it ages you quite fast to have to survive in it, get your hand cut off, and all this other stuff. So that was really cool to see that he's 38 now. Eugene delivering the goods, and just passes out, right? But they've got everything they need, and nobody welcomes Negan back, and then we've got the herd heading in, and Rick finding out that it really isn't over, but at least they've won the first few battles, or at least one of them. They've lost the Hilltop, but they've won the battles mostly. So in terms of score for this one, I'm going to give this one a little bit lower than usual. I'm going to give this an 8.3. It's an awesome issue, but my expectations were rather high for the end of the Whisper War. I was expecting to see maybe some big deaths. I was expecting to see the zombie herd reach Alexandria at this point, but maybe that's asking a little bit too much, so maybe it was me, maybe it was my expectations. But, I was, like I mentioned before and explained before, a little bit let down by this one. But, if you look at it from a positive perspective, the zombie herd flooding through is really exciting. So I can't wait to see what happens with that. And the stuff with Negan has been great. Is he going to forge a new weapon? Is he going to get, another baseball bat or something? Or is he going to leave Lucille behind at this point? Is he going to, change and become something different? So I really love having Negan around. I'm glad Kirkman kept him alive. The Whisper War is still one of the best story arcs, I think, in The Walking Dead. And I made may do kind of an arc review for that so we can discuss it. But yeah, this issue by itself is going to be 8.3 out of 10 for me. Write your comments below. How did you guys feel about it? Were you also kind of like a little bit let down because you had high expectations like I did? Did you think it was awesome? Did you think it was great? And or just can't wait for the next issue, which is I think we all can't wait anyway. But yeah, so. Let me know what you guys thought. If you like this review, please thumb it up below. You can also share, you can favorite, and if you're new and you want to subscribe, bottom left to subscribe. Also click the bell below, guys, so you can get notifications when I post videos for you. So that's just the bell next to the subscribe button below the video. Check out these other videos here if you guys haven't seen some of the recent videos I've done. And that's it for this one, guys. We'll see you soon for another Walking Dead video. Also did another one earlier today for the TV series. It's Trev, and I'm saying peace. Later, guys. I'll see you soon.